See, the issue is I guess it goes back to what do you consider intelligent? Like, I've said that it freaks me out a little bit, and I've cited some sci-fi things like Terminator and iRobot, and or you said iRobot, and I said whatever the other thing I said was, but it could also be incredible. But let's take a step back.
Okay.
What do you consider intelligence?
Well, I mean, I guess if we're talking about AI type, I guess if it's something that's like goes beyond what it's programmed to do, which is still kind of arbitrary because, like, what are we programmed to do? Like, are we just doing our...
Well, yeah, you know what? Actually, that's a good spot to start. Do you consider human beings intelligent?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Okay.
You know?
And we're just programmed.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, like another term for programming that used to be used a lot more was instruction set. And like when we're born, we can't really do anything. And I mean, we can't like file our taxes or drive a car or play poker or whatever. But those are all things that we learn either through observing or reading, or maybe we watch a how-to video or something. Somehow we get the instructions.
Right.
But if we even take a step past that and say, well, human beings can do things that they didn't learn to do, they just instinctually know them, like breathing or pumping blood through our bodies or whatever. Well, then I would say, what is DNA?
Yeah.
Because even geneticists talk about when they're trying to figure out what DNA does, they call it decoding. And when they manipulate DNA to make it do something different, they call it encoding. So if we're just code, then I just feel like AI is totally possible because it would just be code.
Yeah. Well, does it make any difference if you look at like animals, you know, like such as like birds who, you know how to like build a nest and to grab sticks and this and that and to design it in a certain shape and have it, you know, put it in a secure location and then, you know, those types of things.
I honestly think that animals are intelligent and most living things are intelligent. Even if you talk about like trees and things, I don't think that they're the level of intelligence that I would say like mammals and things like that are, animals or living things that have brains, because a tree doesn't necessarily have a brain, but it'll do things like it's built into a cell structure, be able to lean towards the light, and we'll know like I've seen bushes before where it'll poke a branch out and then it will grow leaves. But then if you pull away the other shrubs around the plant, there wasn't any leaves lower down. Like it knew enough not to waste its energy.
Right.
It waited until it could see the sun. But yeah, I guess it's all just different degrees. But I think for most people, they're probably thinking, when will AI be like us? And I would argue that it's actually very similar to probably a more childish version of us. I mean, we're both middle-aged men, but like a kid that's a couple years old, maybe doesn't necessarily know when they're doing something right or when they're doing something wrong. They're still in a very highly learning state. But then there are pieces of it that aren't going to be like us. The fact that these AIs are plugged in the internet and have the ability to look up anything they want. It would be like if a 2 or 3 year old had access to a cell phone and completely knew how to use it.
Right.
And then you ask it complex questions and it's looking up stuff on Wikipedia or whatever, and it's regurgitating it. But at like lightning speed, you know? And it's just weird. Like, I feel as if it could completely change everything.
Yeah.
Like imagine we were talking about this a little bit off camera, but imagine buying two different products and thinking to yourself, man, I wish these two things worked together. Like maybe you bought a pair of VR glasses or goggles,
Right.
and then you bought a drone, and you went, you know what? It'd be really cool if I could use these VR glasses with this drone. Well, if we had access to a real AI, we could just go, hey, can you make a piece of software that makes these two pieces of hardware work together
Right.
that never was meant to work together? And it just would within seconds.
Right.
So anything could interface with anything anytime we wanted,
Yeah.
which is just amazing.
Yeah,
that
it
is a
is.
game changer.
Yeah, that is a game changer. So is that the kind of thing that you're worried about, is us to be able to look to AI to kind of bridge that gap into a couple things?
Well, I think that, no, that part, well, yeah, I guess so. I don't know. This is a very complicated thing.
Okay.
The fact that we wouldn't need a human being to do that means that somebody's probably going to lose their job.
Yeah.
Because an AI will do it either just as good or better at some point.
Right.
And then it will do it quickly, and it'll do it on demand. And we'll probably be able to sort out its own bugs as it moves forward.
Right. Which I mean, I guess in the long run, that's what we want, right? I mean,
Sure.
we don't necessarily want to have to go through those trials and, tribulation. When we create a product, we kind of want to just do it flawlessly the first time.
Yeah, and it could very well make mistakes, just like we make mistakes. But I think if it progresses to a certain point, imagine like if you did something your entire life, right? Maybe you had a career you spent 40 years on. And then another person comes along and they're going to do the same career that you do, but they have 2 years worth of experience. Now, history would dictate that you're probably a little better at that job because you have more history and experience. But now, imagine something that collectively gathers everyone's experience into one spot, and it doesn't have a 38-year experience. What's the word I'm looking for? Benefit over the person that just started 2 years ago. If you collectively add up all the time, it might have millions of years worth of experience.
Okay.
So how do you compete with that?
Yeah, you don't.
I mean, it could still make mistakes, but it's probably a lot less likely than you with your simple 38 years worth of experience.
Yeah. So